Thank you for joining us. And before we get started with today's video, if you guys like what you're seeing and hearing from the Locked On Senators podcast, go ahead and hit like, smash the subscribe button so you can be the first to know about Sens content. Now, we're going to be doing a ton of these prospect profiles, so if you agree this is someone the Sens should look at or steer clear, leave your comment below so we can hear from you. Now, we got 64 of these, so let's get into it.
All right, back to our draft rankings, and coming in at number 5, we are in the top 5. We are going back to Slovakia for what feels like the 100th time? It's the third time, and we're going back again. Credit to the Slovaks for having a fantastic draft year right now. And it's cool because they all came up playing together. There's a cool photo we showed when we had Mishar on, where it was the three of them. It was Mishar, Slavkovsky, and our 5th ranked prospect, Šimon Nemec, out of HK Nitra.
Yes, Šimon Nemec, the first of the duo of right-hand shot defensemen that we're going to cover here. Very interesting prospect here, and there's a lot to like. First off, let's start with the fact that yes, he's a right-hand shot defenseman. He's got a pro frame already at 6'1", 192 pounds. At least that's what I have him listed as, Ross. And he's already playing in the pros over in Slovakia. In 39 games, he had 1 goal, 25 assists, good for 26 points. But the real numbers I want to emphasize here, Ross, in 19 playoff games, he had 5 goals, 12 assists, good for 17 points. So 17 points in 19 playoff games. That is impressive. He really hit his stride as the season went on.
He is so smooth out on the ice. There was one play where he gets the puck, he spins off one guy, and as he's patrolling the blue line from right to left, he takes the defender who was the left winger, so he's up there on the right side, and as he switches, he stays with him, and then he just gives like a little cheeky backhand dish to his D partner. Everyone, the flow is all going one way, and he just sends it the other. Unbelievable assist on that goal. And as you mentioned, the assist is really his calling card when it comes to the offense. Only 1 goal in 39 games, but was able to put up 25 helpers with HK Nitra. He's already in his 2nd full season of playing against men in that league. 6'1", 192-pound defenseman, and that right shot, that quality position, premium position between him and Juracek, the 2 defensemen that are left on our board, are both elite at what they do. A little bit different, I'd say. Nemec rather, he pushes the pace offensively a little bit more than Juracek, who I think is a little bit more, I'll take care of my own end first, whereas Nemec a bit more of a wild card, can get running around a little bit. I like that about them, and so does Scott Wheeler. Scott Wheeler has Nemec as his number 2 prospect in this draft. Craig Button has him at 4. We've got Peters and Pronman at 5. Elite prospects at 6. Tony Ferrari at 8. And Bob McKenzie at 9. But you mentioned that second half streak. Bob McKenzie is our only ranking right now that we do not have the final list. This is from Christmas, Pilsy. So you can bet that after a bronze medal at the Olympics, after 6 points in 8 games at the Men's World Championships, this is going to rise even higher when we get Bob's final rank.
Absolutely, Ross. And just a couple more stats that show how impressive Nemec's performance is already. Listen to this. He started the pro league in Slovakia at around his 16th birthday. So playing pro at 16 is a pretty big deal. Only 3 players at that age played at least 10 games or more, according to Will Scouch. Now, diving in a little deeper too, Ross, only 2 players scored more in the Slovakian Pro League in their draft years. Can you guess which 2?
No.
They are both former Senators, Marian Hossa and Marian Gaborik.
Oh, so, I was going to say Andre Mazzaros.
So to have only 2, arguably, I mean, Hossa's already in the Hall. Gaborik is... I don't know if he'd make the Hall, but...
Not before Alfredson.
No, not before Alfie. But, I mean, he's in contention.
Hall of extremely good.
Yes, 2 unbelievably talented players. And forwards, nonetheless, are the only ones above him in their draft years playing in the Slovakian Pro League. So what I'm getting at here is he has no issues playing at top level against men, and his size helps him out there for sure. And it's very impressive what Nemec has been able to do here. And whoever gets a chance at drafting him should be pretty damn excited, especially if that's the Senators at 7. Unlikely, but
no, I don't even want to get my hopes up. And he's He's already played 112 games of professional hockey as a defenseman.
And then add in the Olympic games, the men's championship games. Like this guy, he's pro ready. If you ask me, like I would not be shocked if a team that drafts him puts him into the NHL next season.
Really? For a defenseman, we haven't seen that. The last 18-year-old defenseman I can remember stepping in right away is Aaron Ekblad in 2015. He won the Calder over Mark Stone. That's a story for another day, and Johnny Gaudreau. But it just shows, and even the voters then realized playing D in the NHL at 18 years old is about as difficult as possible. But Aaron Ekblad was coming out of Barrie too, so the jump's a little bit higher from the OHL than a guy who, as we just mentioned, has already excelled playing against men, let alone just been able to compete.
And he plays big minutes, Ross. Like this isn't a guy that the coach is just like, yeah, you're going to be a third pairing guy and I'm going to put you in an offensive zone draws. No, that is not Simon Nemec here. Like look at these, if you're looking at his game logs, I'm looking at the minutes here. 19, 20, 22, 24, 20, 19, 18, 24, 18. Like you get the picture here. And EP, they do a great job ranking players. And look at the awards he's got here. Third best transitional defenseman. Fourth best four-way mobility. Fourth best neutral zone defender. Fourth best offensive defenseman. And fifth highest floor. So maybe it's jumping into the NHL right away. Maybe that's a little hyperbolic on my part, but I don't think it'll take more than 1 year. Like definitely after 1 year, I think it'll be ready, especially when you look at some of the rosters that the teams that would be in the range to draft him have. He could step in as one of their top four defensemen pretty easily.
100%. Three zone defensemen. Now, I'm curious what your thoughts are on how much his playoff, and maybe it was just a culmination of the rest of his season and how good it was, and it continued into the World Championships. But he was a huge piece of HK Nitra's run. 17 points in 19 playoff games, and really contributing on both ends of the ice, helping them make the run that they did. So to me, this guy, and Scott Wheeler says he has the potential to be the best defenseman out of Slovakia since Zdeno Chara. And you might think, oh, how many are there? Like Lubomir Visnovsky, great defenseman. Andrej Sekera, still playing, had a great career in Minnesota earlier. Maybe Mazaros is a bit of a stretch to throw in the mix there, but there's certainly some defensemen out of Slovakia over the years who have garnered a lot of talent and made great careers for themselves. So I think if he can get in the mix as being number 2 after Chara, you're looking at a serious consideration for a top 5 pick. I don't see how he gets past the Seattle Kraken. I think he's just a perfect secondary piece. They went with Beniers and then get that right shot defenseman. And I don't know, we'll get into this more once we have Juracek, and we'll ask our experts when they're coming on in the next couple of weeks. Juracek versus Nemec. What's the debate? Where's the difference? How do we decide which one of these players is going to help our organization even more down the road?
I think this is a situation where if one gets picked in front of the other or whatever happens, no one's sitting there being like, what a dumb move. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no, like they're so close that you can't really be upset either way. I want to get a little bit more into his game though, before we move on to,
For sure.
to more of his stats and the stars here, because he does a really good job carrying the puck up the ice, and he can skate really well, and he just weaves through defenders. He loves getting into the mix in the O zone, and what I like about him is he's patient with the puck in the offensive zone. Sometimes defensemen, when they have the puck in the offensive zone, they're like, well, I've got the puck here at the point. I don't have a lot of options. Either I can go D to D, or I can try to get a shot on net. He doesn't do that. He has no concern skating towards the net and cycling around if he has to and waiting for an opportunity to open up. And then waiting for that opportunity is half the battle. You got to make the most of that out of that opportunity, and he does. He's able to make good, crisp passes. He's able to get shots on net to create rebounds, tips, deflections. So that's what I really like about him. There are some issues I find, Ross. And Will Scouch does a great job highlighting these. Definitely check out his video on Nemec here. He sometimes rushes his first pass, like the first pass in his own zone, and he turns it over. And he doesn't have the best decision making. And sometimes he can act like the puck is a grenade on his stick and just be like, well, I don't see anything off my first glance in the defensive zone here. I'll just rip it off the glass, Nikita Zaitsev style. And if it goes for an icing, whatever. So that's not exactly a great habit you want to have him in. Sometimes he gets caught standing still in the D zone, and being a more offensive guy that loves to skate with the puck in the rush, there was a couple highlights that Will Scout shows where the puck isn't even going up the ice the other way, and he's already skating past his own blue line, and his defensive partner's like, dude, like, now I gotta do all this on my own. We don't even have the puck, and you're out of our D zone already. So he gets a little overexcited sometimes, but hey, as we talked to Tony Fryer, and he mentioned this, I'd rather a player that tries to do too much and tries to go too hard too quickly, and you have to teach them to dial it back, rather than a guy that doesn't do enough and doesn't try to cheat and get that extra point, and you got to dial it up. So from that standpoint, I'm okay with Nemec, and I think with some time, he's still a young kid, a young defenseman. It takes time to make those decisions and figure it out. He's going to be able to develop into that guy that can make the right decisions.
Yeah, David St. Louis said something similar about he kind of runs towards his teammates in the offensive zone. And even in the play I described where he did that little cheeky backhand, I mean, he's running into his guy, but the guy was smart enough to cut behind him and cross and maybe open it up. So I think that's a pretty coachable thing. And that's maybe why I'd probably start him in the AHL and be like, hey, come over. Like,
fair.
You showed in the playoffs, you could dominate the Slovak league. It's not necessarily the strongest league in Europe. Like, let's bring you over. Let's get you in the mix. Maybe even give you a 9-game trial at the start of the year. Let's see how you do in the NHL. If you can't make it, then no worries. Go down. I almost said just go down to Coachella Valley. I'm just convinced that Seattle is going to draft them.
Go down, talk to Dan Bilesma. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So, no, I love this player. If he could be there at 7, he would be a slam dunk. He's 5 stars for me. I think that his future is extremely bright, plays a premium position, and again, you're going to have to give him some good tips in terms of how to utilize his teammates a little bit better in right situations and not always try to force it yourself. But I see so much upside in this player.
Yeah, I see a lot of upside too, Ross. And I feel like for Nemec, and I'm working on this this phrase, so hopefully I get it right here again. The whole is greater than the sum of his parts, right? Yes. Like, this is a guy that you're not looking at him and you're like, best shot for a defenseman in the draft. Best skater, best this, best that. But the fact that, and I mentioned it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that he's in the top 5 for in this draft. The fact that he can put all those together in one collection in his toolbox is such a good starting point for a team like the Seattle Kraken that need building blocks in their pipeline, and he is the perfect building block. I got him at 4.5 stars, Ross. Only that half star, only because I think, like, cartoon style, my brain will like pop out of my head and be like bouncing if I see that he's available for 7th overall. So the only reason I don't have him as a 5-star play is I would be shocked, baffled, bamboozled, all the words you want to say, all the words you want to use. I just wouldn't believe it if he was still available at 7th overall. So that's where I lose half a star there.
All right. Well, Šimon Nemec is a February 15th, 2004 birthday, and I think he plays at the NHL like 6'2", 200 pounds. So size certainly not an issue with him. It's just a matter of how long it takes him to become a top 4 defenseman at the NHL level.